Hello and welcome to Jamie TV. Thank you very much for being here. Hi Gerald, thanks for joining the chat. Hi Vortex. Hi Samuel, thanks for being here. If you are watching live, then welcome. Thank you very much for joining me. If you are watching from the future, then awesome. I hope that it's warmed up a bit from what it's like right now. Today we're going to look at some more of the questions that have been asked of me about Cubasis 3. And yes, it's a total nuts beat, Sam. Yes, thank you for mentioning that. I just realised just before I started the stream, I was going to need some MIDI to demonstrate with, and so I threw some together. And I made this kit when I was demonstrating. Let's just go to this view here. There. When I was demonstrating FAC drum kit, I made a couple of mad sounding kits that I just found a lot of fun, you know. And hey Joe, thanks for being here. And yeah, so I thought I'd use that, and I made some MIDI, and I wanted some MIDI that used quite a lot of the instruments in the kit, and you'll see why in a bit. Now, I've been asked lots of questions about Cubasis again this last week. I've been asked about group tracks and Multibus and automation and MIDI insert slots and sidechaining. So I'm going to try to cover all those things this evening. Well, it's evening where I am in this stream. Yeah, I need to get used to not saying sort of like time of day type things, because it could be any time wherever you are. So yes, stop waffling, hippie. So let's talk about things, right? So we've got FAC drum kit and some mad MIDI that sounds like this. So I don't know what order I'm going to cover things in. I'm just going to kind of throw some ideas at you. Maybe we should try and cover like maybe Multibus via automation, right? So Multibus out. Well, let's think of it like this, right? The problem that I have with what I've got right here in this project is I've got a drum machine that it's capable of, if I just show you, it's capable of 16 different instruments at once. So if I want to mix those 16 instruments really, really well, it would be nice if I could put different effects on each instrument. Now in FAC it is pretty cool. It does have its own mixing desk, so you can set levels and you can set pans and stuff like that. You can mute and solo tracks. It's a really awesome AV3, and if you'd like to know more about it, I did a stream on it the other night, and I also did a demo on it a while ago when it first came out, so check that out. But to get the very best out of a kit, it would be nice to have all those different outputs on a different fader in Cubasis, but as you can see, all I've got is one stereo fader and everything's coming down there. Now imagine that your drum machine doesn't have just stereo out. Imagine it's got an output. Imagine a physical drum machine, and across the back of it, instead of having 2 stereo outs, it's got 16 outputs, so that you could take those outputs to 16 different channels on a mixing desk, and then you could insert effects, you could use sound effects and mix to your heart's desire. Well, some apps are multi-bus out, and the ones that are, we can utilize that in Cubasis. Now let's just use an example of why we would want that. Right off the bat, we'll use an example of why that would be desirable. Hey Dave, thanks for joining us. Right, so what I'll do then is I will put as a send effect on these drums, I'm going to put a reverb. So I'm going to put, let's use a reverb that I've found to be really, really useful for sort of more experimental, electronic, mad drums. Right, let's put Bliss Reverb on there. And we'll just have a listen to a few sounds. I really like this one. Okay, now I'm just going to have a little bit of a pissy pants around with the mix on this, but what you're going to hear is that the mix I'm getting on this reverb, well, you know, it'll sound good, it'll sound pretty awesome. I can't adjust it for each individual component part of the kit, and so like a kick sound, I wouldn't want a lot of reverb on that. Tom sounds, I might want a lot. A snare, I might want a massive amount. And obviously, with this situation, I can't do that. But let's just mix it a little better. Now, I'm just going to have to do something because I just did something really awesome. And it seems that once again, this camera over here has gone to sleep, right? So I'm just going to wake up this camera, and because I want you to see what I'm doing. That's kind of the whole point of it being there. And so if I just open up my Droid cam over here, apologies about this, and then if I stick this lead in here, it may just wake it up again. Yeah? Oh, that worked. Right. Now don't go to sleep again. Honestly, androids. Right. Okay. So let's just repeat that little exercise there. All right. So now Bliss Reverb has this transform pad here, and it, without going too deeply into it, because we're here to talk about Cubasis 3, not about this reverb, but when I do that, when I put my finger on it, it moves various parameters around while I've got my finger on it. When I let go, it resets. Now, wouldn't it be really cool if we could record what I'm doing there, and it kind of, and then when it played back, right, it repeated that. It records the movements that I make in this transform pad, stores them, and then when I play it back, it does the same thing again. So I don't have to keep doing it with my finger, because I'm never going to do it the same twice, because I don't really know what I'm doing. I'm just pissy-panting about. Hey, Michael, thank you for being here. Right, so for that, we use some automation. So what we do is, if we look down here, you will see, should I use my mouse for this? You will see we have this automation section. Now in here, if I open this up, you will see that there are a great deal of things that we can, oh, mouse wheel don't work in Cubasis, does it? A great many things that we can automate. And whilst that is marvellous, the problem with that is that it takes ages to find what you're looking for. But what you can do, don't press that, is you can just press this button up here, right? Let me just do that again with the mouse so you can see what I'm doing. So you press this button, right? And we are going to write some automation. And hopefully that's going to store the pissy-panting about that I do in the transform window. Now, we don't need to press record for this. All we need to do is play. Right, okay. Now, that should have recorded the automation, all being well. So if I go in here, and I don't think it has actually. Although actually the last time I recorded some automation, it did record it and it didn't show up right away. Let's just... Yes, it has. It's recorded it. Okay. So then if I go to... Hang on. I'll just get my send effect here and just take right off. We need read for it to repeat that automation that we've recorded. So let's go to automation, and there we are. Look, now it is showing up. So I don't know why, but sometimes there is a slight lag on that automation showing up, and that has caught me out in live streams before where I thought I'd not done it and I've gone and done it again. So what you'll see here up at the top is it's highlighted the automation that it's recorded. Now this can be really useful. So you let's say if you were wanting to find out how to automate something, but you wanted to draw it in. You didn't want to do it live like I just did. But like it's a long list of things to, pissy pants about looking through, and like maybe you can't be asked to look. So you can actually just record live in the automation that you want to put in by hand meticulously, then look in the list, see where it comes up, then there you go in there and then you change it, right? What's Sam saying? Did you just leak a new Cubasis feature? Currently you cannot browse automatable parameters in Cubasis. No, this is not a beta or anything, Sam. I'm not on a beta for Cubasis. This is the actual version that's available now in the App Store. So yeah, you can do this. Oh hi, Daniel. Thanks for joining us. So yeah, Sam. Maybe just for once, I actually know about something that you don't, because I'll tell you that will be a first. Right now, so. Okay, so now I'm going to click just here, and you'll see that what it's done, it's recorded two different lots of parameters. And I can now go in and view or change the settings. So, right, so it's recorded this. Right, so now what if I just grab something, right? And, I have to show you with the mouse, press draw up here, right? And then I can just go in, stick my finger on, change it, put some more in. Lots of mad fun. Now I did not want it to do that. And I don't know why it's doing that. So let's just... Hang on, that's muted. Let's just turn that down a moment. I don't know why it's doing that. But as most of you will know, occasionally MIDI parameters stick and stuff. So let's just now go and, I guess, that automation we could maybe just lose that for now. So we could go and, if I select, double click and clear, right? Get rid of all that, and then this one too, right? Now let's just see that. I don't think that will actually got rid of the problem, but no, it's not. Maybe if I go into the reverb, change the preset. There we are. All right, now I'm going to just exactly, Dave. It's live. Yeah, it will bite you. Right, so I'm going to record some new automation because I really enjoyed doing that. That was fun. So press right. Okay. And let's just try that again, right? So if we go to the automation, you'll see that it's not there yet. It's not appeared yet, but it will do. And actually what I did last time, trying to repeat exactly what I did before, I switched off right, didn't I? And then when I went back and went into automation, then it was there. So maybe that's what it is. Maybe you have to switch off right and then go in, right? And so if I click on there, now you'll see there's my new automation, right? So that's how you record live automation in. But what if we wanted to do something like write something in meticulously by hand? So if you look down the list, you will see all the different tracks and the different things that you can automate. But up at the top here is a nice useful one that I can use as a demo. So we'll go to pan. Now, when you look at pan, you'll see over here a little C, because at the moment this is in the center. So up at the top would be, I think, left, and at the bottom right. Don't do that. Right, so if I go up to draw, and then I should be able to put a little point in up here. And if I want to snap this to grid and make this very precise, I can go over here, snap to bar, and then I'll select that little node that I've put in there, or whatever we want to call it, and drag it into the far corner. And then I'll draw over here, and we'll drag that one down. Then over here, another one, another one, another one. I don't need to do them too accurately, it's only a demo, right? And then if I go now, what might be disguising you hearing that moving left to right? I can hear it in my cans, but it might be disguising it a little bit because this effect is it's a stereo effect. Now you can hear it better. Okay, now can you see here the panel control moving? Because it's now automated. Okay, I'm quite pleased with that. On the whole, that went generally okay, except for that it's doing that. Why are you doing that, honestly? I've pressed stop. I know it's not the reverb, but I'm just going to change that preset and then... Oh, it was the reverb. No, something just said to me, just change the preset on the reverb. Okay. Right. Okay. So we've done automation, but we're talking about multibus out, and there's a reason why I showed you that beforehand. I wanted to show you the reverb and how it would be nicer if I could maybe like add effects to individual channels instead of just to the stereo mix. But that Bliss reverb is a really useful thing to use as a tool to explain automation. So now we can get rid of that. We can just switch off that reverb, and actually if I just go there, stop it reading the automation. Right, so how do we get multibus out? Yeah, it really is, Daniel. It's so... I did such a great job of automating that it continued after I told it to stop. So, just need to move something on my desktop here. Okay, so let's have a look at multibus out. So what I want is, instead of those stereo outs from FAC drum kit, I want 16 individual ones, and it's really, really easy to do. Now, the things that you need to consider when you're talking about multibus out will vary ever so slightly between AV3 instruments. The way it works for each one is ever so slightly different each time, but FAC is a really good example of the way it generally works. So if I press on FAC drum kit now, grab mouse over here, you'll see just down here under where it says output bus, it says add 16 tracks. Now bear in mind, doing a bit of maths, right? We've already got a stereo out for FAC, and it's saying add 16 tracks. FAC is capable of 16 instruments, so we're actually going to have 17 tracks. I'll just show you how that works. If I press add 16 tracks, right, now it's added 16 extra tracks, so now we've got 17. I really wish that mouse wheel worked in Cubasis. I've given them a reminder, so maybe in the next update, you never know. Right, so now I'm going to go to the mixer and switch that off there. And we'll just bring... Did I switch off the panning automation? Doesn't matter because it's on that track. Don't matter. Forget about it. I didn't even mention it, right? Okay, so now you'll see we've got a stereo mix here. So if I press solo on there, we've still got exactly the same thing on the first track. If I pull it down, take solo off, right, so now every drum has its own track, and it's automatically assigned the 16 instruments in order across those tracks. And now what I can do is, I'm not going to do this as tempted as I am. I mean, I'm really kind of desperate to do this, but I'm not gonna let myself. What I can do is I could go to each drum and label it, right, and say what it is. So, you know, if this were a normal drum kit, I could go kick, snare, hat, etc., etc. What I cannot do, which would be nice, I think, would be, I can't change the colour of the extra tracks. They all have to be the same colour as the master, effectively. In fact, I'll tell you what I've not tried doing. I'll just change the colour of that. No, unselect that, right? And then, yeah, so it changes the colour of all of them. But I'm going to have to change it back, because as much as I love purple, drums are red. Right, so we've now got 16 output buses, and that would mean that I could, on each individual track, I could go and insert effects. I could put my compressors and EQs, and I could send each. What I could do is I could set up a send effect for a nice reverb for the kit, but send different amounts of each component part of the kit to the reverb. So like I was talking about earlier, I could send a shit ton of snare to the reverb, but hardly any kick. And that's how we would get a much better reverb sound over the whole kit. So, hope that made sense. Any questions about Multibus out? Throw them into the chat before I move on. Now, so what I was talking about earlier was we have, this is something I really must just point out, we have, go to the mixer over here. So this is my master track, which I've turned down. And if I mute it, it will mute everything. What we can do in FAC, now this is one of those things that's not going to apply to all Multibus out AV3s. But what we can do in FAC is we can go to FAC's mixing desk, and using these little buttons up here, we can decide, we can tell it not to send that instrument anymore to the stereo out. Hey Audible, now then, I can't Audible. I am absolutely at the top of the red in the Streamlabs like mixing desk thing, and I can hear it slightly peaking as well. So I'm sorry, but I can't, and it's something that I do need to improve about the streams, but I don't know at this point what I can do. So sorry about that. Okay, so what we can do in FAC is, how do I demo this? If I solo this kick and this track here, and then I'll go into FAC and I'll just press solo on FAC's desk. So we've just got that kick, but we've got it going down 2 tracks. But here, if I press this, it now takes it out of the stereo mix. And it is only going down that channel. So, just thought I'd show you that. Okay. I'm going to take that back down. Right then. Okay, so that's automation and multibus out. Let's have a look at... Oh, perfect opportunity to show you this. Right, group tracks. Right, so I now have... Let's just make this smaller here with a pinch. So I now have these 16 tracks of individual component parts of the drum kit. And I can mix them, add my effects, all that stuff. But then, once I've got a really nice balance on the kit, the problem is then, I can't move it up and down as one with one fader. So what we do is use mouse, go down here, press add, and add a group track. And then we get a little pop-up window, and it asks which instruments that are in this project do you want to add to this group track. So I'm just going to select everything apart from the first instance of FAC, the stereo mix, which I have turned down. So I'll add everything else. When you've selected what you want, you just click off of it. Now that group I'm going to bring down to the bottom, and I'll label it kit. And so now, if I go along here to the end of my mixing desk, there we are. I can now turn the whole kit up and down as one, although I have that track soloed. So, oh, I soloed it in FAC, didn't I? Okay, let's just go and take that off. There we are. Okay, I should just repeat that demonstration. Alright, so I can turn the kit up and down as one. Right, okay, so there's group tracks demonstrated. I don't think there's anything more I can tell you about group tracks other than that, really. It's straightforward. You can add multiple group tracks, you can label them and change the color of them, and I think that's it. So let's have a look at sidechaining. Now, first of all, a very quick explanation about sidechaining. Hey fam, thank you for joining us. You are just in time for my awesome explanation of what sidechaining is. Right, so sidechaining is something that is actually a very, very simple thing, but it's really, really hard to explain, so bear with me. What it is, right, is, imagine that you... Okay, so let's take a compressor as an example. So if you were going to compress a bass guitar, right, you've got a bass guitar signal coming into a compressor, and you set the parameters on that compressor to crush, squash, or do whatever it is that you want to do to that bass guitar signal. But with sidechaining, what we do is we affect that instrument not on the transients coming from that instrument, but from a different one. So let's say, for instance, we have a bass sound, imagine like a bass drone sound, and we've got a kick drum, and the drone sound is kind of hiding the kick drum. So what we do is we put a compressor on that bass drone sound, but we sidechain it to the kick. So what happens is, every time the compressor receives a transient from the kick, in other words, every time the kick drum makes a sound, it makes the compressor do its thing. So it's sitting there idle, a kick happens, and then it leaps into action, and it grabs that bass drone sound and it pulls it down a bit so that the kick can be heard shining through. So if that explanation was pants, then I'll do a practical one and hopefully it will be a bit better. It really is kind of difficult to explain. Hey, Paint Target, thanks for joining us, man. You're just in time to miss my explanation of what sidechaining is, but not too late for the actual demo. So what I'll do, to demonstrate this, I will add a MIDI channel, and this is going to be a synth, and synths are green. Actually, I think what we'll do, we'll add Waverly. I think Waverly will be suitable for this. And I'm going to go and grab a sound that I know, because that seems sensible. And I'll grab Ice Giant. I think that's the one. And let's just unarm that and arm this. Ah, there we are. A lovely sound. That will do us nicely. Okay. So first job, I'm going to need some MIDI. I'll take off loop, come back here, put the metronome on, and let's just record a couple of simple chords, like I'm capable of playing complex ones on the keys. Right, that'll do us. Now, I'm going to have this looping round, so it's going to be important that this comes in on the bar. So I'll just double tap to select everything, and then we will quantize this onto the line. And there we are. Right, that'll do us. That's fine. Now, what I was explaining about sidechaining, that's kind of a very practical, very sort of done every day in studios across the world, kind of a practical, sensible, subtle use for sidechaining. But you can also use the same thing in a more creative way. And I'm going to do that because I think using it in a more flamboyant way will help to just to show how it works and what you can do with it more better, right? So here's what we do. We're going to need an aggressive compressor for this. So I'm going to go to my insert effects on the channel that Waverly is on. That's important to grasp. And let's go to insert effects. And I'm going to grab Schlap because it's nothing if not aggressive and can do sidechaining. There we are. There's Schlap. And I'm going to press this button here. Right? This is the sidechain button. So now it asks me which channel's transient are we going to use to activate the compressor. So I'm going to select the kick drum, which I think is that one. I think that's right. And now if I just solo that kick, hopefully it's the right one, and Waverly. Just checking my levels. I don't want to blast anyone's ears out. Notice how I forgot to solo the channel like I was talking about earlier. The master channel for the drums, even though it's turned all the way down, has to be on for the others to work. So solo that. Now we can hear the kick. And I'm just going to make this loop around that section there where the chords are. Put loop on. Now I press external. I finally found the settings to make it happen. Alright, so one of the reasons I wanted to use Slap is because it has this great visualizer, so you can see that every time that kick hits, it ducks that mood unit's waverly sound down. And so alright, okay, so that's how you can use sidechaining, and there's actually quite a lot of apps now that do support sidechain. And Mixbox is one of them. And when you think about some of those effects that you've got in Mixbox, you know, your brain just starts racing about all the things that you could do with them. It was kind of the case that when developers gave us sidechaining in an app, you could really only make it work in AUM. And of course, AUM is a fabulous playground for those kinds of things. But sometimes you just want to do things in a more traditional digital audio workstation. And you know, gradually over time, Cubasis is not just becoming more and more stable, but also adding more and more of these very creative features. So let's I'm actually quite impressed with myself how well I'm doing for time. I've got one subject left and I've got 15 minutes left, right? So I'm actually really doing quite well getting through all of the questions that I've been asked about Cubasis. So if you do have any more questions, do let me know. Throw them into the chat or comments or message me directly. Whatever you want to do. I'm happy with however you want to contact me. So what's my last subject then? MIDI effects, right? Okay, so now you may have seen that in. Actually, let me just check something. What's my DSP like at the moment? Alright, it's not too bad. Okay, Jamie Sidechaining Melinda. Yeah, well, I'll tell you what, you know, it was difficult enough for me to understand compression in the first place. I just had and being a bass player, it was something that I knew I really needed to understand and I really needed to get my head around. And it took me a long time. I think the biggest reason was it took me a long time to find a compressor that worked on my bass. A good one that really worked for me. And then when I got a good one, I then became quite proficient at compressing my bass, and then gradually other instruments too. And of course, I did co-design a signature bass pedal for Xvive. The box is over here. I'm very proud of it. I keep showing this in streams, but I'm really proud of it because there's like a product that has my picture on it and my signature's on the pedal too. But Xvive no longer make pedals, they only make wireless gear now, so it's actually out of production. So, get them while they're hot. Not. Anyway, so yeah, I did find sidechaining compression like a whole different adventure that was very difficult to understand. And the reason I found it difficult to understand is because people find it difficult to explain. Now, if you look, shall I add... I'm going to add another track. I'm going to add a MIDI track. I'm going to put it up here at the top. And let's just go to the side here with my mouse. Now you'll see we've got insert effects. We've talked about those. And send effects. We've talked about those and what the difference is between the two and why you would choose one over the other. In a previous stream, can't remember which one, but I have done, so go and watch them all. And then we also have MIDI effects. So what's that about? Well, this is for effects that just deal in MIDI information. The best way to explain that, I suppose, is just click on it and you'll see that it gives me a list of apps that are just MIDI effects. So if I come down the list, look, you'll see this. I've got quite a few, and I'm going to need to select one. Let's select an instrument first. Something that doesn't use too much DSP because we're kind of starting to get up there. Maybe I think digitalism might do us. That might just be okay. And it says it's loaded. It's loaded. We're beginning to wonder then. Let's just unarm Waverly and we'll arm digitalism. Maybe digitalism uses more DSP than I remember. I don't know. We'll change it if we have to. Now let's find a sound. So there's Close Encounters is a nice one. Right, yeah, we're starting to have some problems, DSP. And this is something I could use. Didn't use a lot of DSP. That would make a really good example for this. Suggestions in the chat, please. I wonder. That one doesn't use a lot, does it? think. Right, but I never use it. Let's just find a sound. I said that might be right. Okay, let's not waste time. It's the demo that's important, more important than the sound. All right, so in the MIDI effect slot, I'll go back here and let's pick something. Let's pick, say, you know what? Let's pick Snakebud. See, everybody thinks of Snakebud and apps like it as being something that you piss pants around with in AUM, but you know what? You can use this in Cubasis. Better word now I've said that. Okay, so now let's just solo that channel. Right, okay, so that's working. That's sending its MIDI to my instrument. So let's just randomize in Snake. If you don't know anything about Snakebud and how it works, what it does, it's basically a sequencer that's really, really good for generating just random madness. Kind of, it's a good way of finding things that are a little bit off the wall, perhaps. I'm not going to go into any great depth about it because this stream is not about Snakebud. I have done a great video on it if you'd like to go and check it out. I'm going to choose a scale down here. So let's see, I played an A minor and the C, I think. Very adventurous. So if we go and select, just go and select minor, and then root note will be an A. Done. And then select some random edge. Itching to find a more interesting sound. Oh. Right, okay, so we've got a nice little sort of random sequence being generated by a plugin app, right? So it's an AV3. It's like using a little sequencer and plugging it into that channel and playing that instrument with it. Can we record that information in? I'm surprised nobody's asked me that in the chat. I actually don't know if I've ever tried that, so I'm just going to try it now. Let's find out. Okay. Let's see you later, Sam. Are you watching Doug? If so, I'll see you in Doug's stream. Thank you for joining us. Let's find out if you can record it. No, that's not recorded it, and I don't think there's anything that I could do I don't think there's anything I'm missing. I don't think there's anything I could do there. I did have loop on, and I really didn't ought to have had that on. I'll just try it one more time, and let's just see if it records it if I take that off. No, it's not recorded it. I don't know why that is. Sometimes when you record like that, I know it does work. I don't know why. I should maybe take a bit of a deeper look into that. But all right, so that's covered all the questions that people have been really itching to know about this last week, and I am kind of getting towards wrapping up these Cubasis sessions. I think, unless anyone has, I've got a few bits and pieces left to talk about, which I'll talk about next week. But that may be the last one, unless I get any more questions thrown at me. Okay, so does anyone have any questions for me in the chat before I clear off and have a quick fag before I watch Doug's stream? I'll just play the music while you throw your questions in the chat. No questions? Okay, right, that's fine. I'm going to go and get a quick fag and some coffee, and then I'm going to watch Doug's stream, because I should be teaching a guitar lesson in a moment, but he's not coming, he's not well. So I'll join you in Doug's chat in a moment. Thanks everyone for watching. Thanks for joining me. Have a great rest of your day. Take care of yourself. I've forgotten how to talk. Take care of yourself. And make lots of music, and don't piss your pants about. See you later. Bye-bye.